No one is more aware of the overdose crisis than Saskatchewan's chief coroner. His office is responsible for investigating the cause of death for each fatal overdose, and it can barely keep up with demand. Chief Coroner Clive Weighill joins me now from Saskatoon. Thank you for being here.
You're more than welcome. Thanks for having me on.
We are 3 months into 2023. How many people have overdosed already this year, and what does that tell you?
Well, so far we're looking at approximately 103 that's suspected drug overdose. That number may change a little bit, but certainly we're in that 100 person range. We're on a trend similar to where we were last year.
What does that tell you?
We certainly still have a problem in Saskatchewan, and we have a problem right across the nation, never mind just Saskatchewan, but certainly we're not seeing it lessen at all. And it certainly is concerning, I think, for everybody within the province here. That's a lot of people that are perishing that probably could be prevented.
We know more than 1,200 people have died from drug poisoning in our province since the start of 2020. What conclusions have you drawn about who it is that's dying?
We seem to see about, five main big areas. It could be somebody that had a back injury, was on some type of opioid, and now the doctors are very reticent to give those prescriptions. So maybe seeking illegal drugs to relieve the pain. It could be somebody that's using some cocaine, has no idea it has fentanyl in it. It could be a person that likes the fentanyl high. I believe, from what I hear, it's a very good high. So people that are addicted to drugs and in that lifestyle certainly like that. It could be somebody just experimenting with drugs. So it's not just one easy fix to look at. And I think there's a popular misconception that it's homeless people, young people that are involved in this. And our numbers show that it's mainly males or in that 35 to 45-year age group, had jobs before, productive lives, but unfortunately got involved with drugs.
What do we know about the drugs themselves?
Well, it's mainly fentanyl that's causing the issue, fentanyl and its derivatives. We very seldom see just one drug involved. It could be a mixture of cocaine and fentanyl, could be a mixture of fentanyl, methamphetamine, alcohol, fentanyl, etazolam, alcohol. It's never just one drug. There's usually polysubstance.
So would you say that's what's causing the overdoses is the mixing?
It's a mixing, but mainly the main one that's in that mixture that's causing the problems is the fentanyl.
There have been some recent warnings in other cities about an animal tranquilizer that's being mixed into drugs. What concerns do you have about that here in Saskatchewan?
Yes, we've seen that across different provinces as well. We haven't seen much of that in the province since I'd say the fall, but we're seeing xylazine, atazolam, some other drugs that are sedatives. The problem with those is that we all have learned that naloxone is very useful if somebody has a fentanyl overdose. It will bring them back again. But if they're mixing it with sedatives, the naloxone might work against the fentanyl, but it has nothing to do with the sedative. So that's not going to help that part of the drug. So it's still very dangerous.
You were recently asked by the family of Shane Turner to hold an inquest into his death from an overdose. Instead, you chose to make recommendations yourself, including quick access to detox. What needs to happen and why?
Yes, we met with the family of Shane Turner, and we discussed the pros and cons of an inquest. I know the family did want an inquest, but the recommendations that I can make hold as much weight as what would come from an inquest as well too. So it was a lot quicker for us to get those recommendations out. I've had responses back from the health region. They put some extra measures in place now so that people will get attention right away and not be released. Almost in every case now, they'll either find a brief detox bed for them, at least until they can get into a longer term.
What action do you see your office taking in the future to try to prevent more of these kinds of deaths?
Well, there's not too much that my office can do specifically. I think when you talk, but globally, I think public awareness is very important. As I mentioned earlier, people think it's homeless people and young people. It's not. It's anybody. It doesn't matter what race, age group, right across the province geographically that are involved in this. I think the more we can talk about it, the better. Addiction beds would certainly be helpful. The minister's announced, I think, another 150 addiction beds here in the province. So there's a lot of pieces that to this pie. We need mental health and addictions. Enforcement, I think, has a part to play with it. And I think discussing with people with lived experience. I mean, they're the ones that know why they got into the drug life that they're in, what maybe turned them into drugs, and they may have some ideas on how to help people get away from the drugs.
Thanks for shedding some light on this today, Mr. Weighill.
You're more than welcome anytime.
Saskatchewan's Chief Coroner Clive Weighill, based in Saskatoon.